I think the death of Navalny is the nearest thing that Putin would have ever come to helping Biden get his funding package through for Ukraine. But apart from that, there's a lot of bluster and not much will be done. I'm Graniopteryx. You know, it strikes me as very odd that it's being reported as if this were a big surprise. Who didn't expect Navalny to end up dead in a Russian cell? It was sort of obvious. I do not understand why Navalny went back to Russia. Maybe that's part of the Russian psyche. The suicidal aspect of the Russian psyche, which I do not understand. He just walked straight into the crocodile's mouth, didn't he? Anyway, they're all acting like it's a huge surprise, as if Putin would stick to the rules, as if the prisons were reasonable places in Russia. People in Russia, men in Russia, in prison, were volunteering to go to fight on the Ukraine front rather than stay in the prisons. That has to tell you something. Okay, it says here, this is in The Guardian, Western leaders point finger at Putin. Oh boy, after Alexei Navalny's death. And then they give a whole long story. I'm going to just take a few snippets from the BBC because they put in a little set of stories. Here we go. So we'll start with the big mystery as of now. Things might clear up by the time I've got this video uploaded. But it says here, Navalny's team says body not in morgue where officials said it was. Kira Yarmish, a spokesman for the Russian activist, said Navalny's mother and lawyer had arrived at the morgue in Salekhard, a town near the prison he'd been serving in, but it was closed. In an update on X, formerly Twitter, Yarmish said both of them had been assured his body was there by the penal colony. But Yarmish goes on to say the lawyer called the phone number which was on the door. He was told he was the 7th caller today. Alexei's body is not in the morgue. Which is, now what do I have on my notes here? Yeah, I've got a note here saying, you know, polonium has a half-life of 140 days. So maybe if we get the body out, well, it's a half-life of 140 days. That'd be about 10 years, wouldn't it, before all the signs of polonium had gone. Actually, it might be longer than that. Well, never mind. A long time. You know how half-life works. It takes 140 days for half of the polonium to go, and then another 140 days for half of the half, and then another 140 days for half of the half of the half. You see what I mean. All right. The director of the Oscar-winning 2022 documentary Navalny has told the BBC he was devastated. All right, let's see what else I have here on my Navalny's team calls for his body to be released by his family. So they ask for spokesman for Navalny confirms it. Well, I don't know how they can confirm his death, considering they haven't found the body yet. But then there's this. UK, now this really, UK will take action in response to Navalny's death, says the Foreign Secretary, Lord Cameron. Lord Cameron, what's Britain going to do, actually, about that? What are we going to do? I'll tell you what, Lord Cameron, how about you proposing a two-state solution, just like the one you're proposing for Israel and their murderous neighbours? You can tell the people who support Navalny to make peace with the people who support Putin. It's as simple as that. I mean, everybody wants peace, don't they? And then you can lecture them both on learning to live together again in peace and harmony, all buttercups and daisies and butterflies and rainbows, just like all those English people do in the Cotswold village where you live and where you drive back every weekend so that you can attend parish council meetings to decide on Easter flower baskets in the main street and whether or not the script for the next Christmas pantomime is a bit too risque for the kids. Yeah, okay. The next one. Yeah, right. Zelensky calls Putin a thug as he hits out at Navalny's murder. Well, we all know he was murdered one way or the other. He might not have actually been shot in the back of the head, but he would have been starved, or, as I say, poison's good. Maybe he fell out of a window. Now, before well, actually, I don't have much more to say, but before I do finish up, I'm going to bring up the subject of Gonzalo Lira, because somebody is going to make that comment under this video. That's what all Putin apologists do. Anything that's wrong with Russia, they say, well, what about Gonzalo Lira? Now, if you didn't know about Lira, he was on the internet as Coach Red Pill at one point. He spent a lot of time, a very profitable time, telling incels how to get girls into bed by bullying them or, you know, using certain techniques. Anyway, Lira was also a supporter of Putin and a trenchant critic of Ukraine independence. And he died in prison of pneumonia, most likely and primarily for one or both of two reasons. And the first, he smoked 50 cigarettes a day, and so he wasn't in the best of health to start with. And the weather in Ukraine is not good, and because of a certain little spat they're having with Russia, heating and that sort of thing is in short supply. And the second reason for his death in hospital might be because medical resources are somewhat stretched in Ukraine right now. I don't know what hospital he was in, but it was in Kharkiv, I believe, which is under heavy shelling from Russia night and day. I think we can say there's a difference between the situation Lira was in and Navalny. And Mr. Lira's father put out a tweet or a social media post of some sort, said that Gonzalo Lira had been enduring torture for months, but no, he had actually been released. But then he violated the terms of his parole, or whatever it was. From Lira's own letter, he wasn't tortured. He had pneumonia, he said. And furthermore, he also said he'd been released from prison, but then he made a big thing about violating his bail conditions. So I know the Putinistas are still going to make daft comments under this video. And yeah, you are at liberty to do it, in fact, by all means, because the more posts I get, the better the coverage of the video. But I want to add this thing about Lira just for all of you sensible people who might be watching this. And yeah, it says here that Navalny's I don't know where it was, but anyway, his family have called for the body to be released. But quite frankly, if they do get the body back, if I were one of his relatives, I'd be wearing a hazmat suit when I went anywhere near that body. I'm interrupting to remind you to click like and to subscribe and share. Also, I'm constantly being told that YouTube removes subscriptions, so please click the notification bell and check that you really are subscribed. All the links to my other channels are in the description, including links to donation sites. I'm always grateful, of course, for donations, but simply clicking like is the best thing you can do for this video and my channel generally. Thank you. I'm really sorry. He appeared to be developing. He started off flirting with some sort of almost fascism, nationalism. It wasn't very good, but after a while he seemed to... He probably saw what was going on with Putin and realised where that led. And he was definitely de-emphasising that aspect of his philosophy. He might not have been better than Putin, but he looked like he was developing better than Putin. And yeah, I'm sorry that, well, Putin never gave him a chance. Yeah. Anyone who thinks he died naturally. Well, there's that bridge I was talking about before. All right, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.